How do you make your own pixel art style? You see, I've been making pixel art on and off for my entire life. I spent about a decade as a kid working on Mega Man fan comics, and then I spent a decade, well, not doing that, being a grown-up and also writing a book at the same time. And over the past few years, I've gotten back into art, specifically trying to figure out how to make pixel art to the best of my ability. I love this stuff, but I don't really feel like I have a specific style. And you don't always need one, but I want to get back into making pixel comics again. And to do that, I'm gonna need a specific style through the series. So that's what we're doing today. I'm gonna draw me. And I'm doing that because I don't want to get bogged down with all the elements of character design that you can get lost in. I just want to draw myself in my style, whatever that is, and that should help guide the look of my comics going forward. Let's do it. Hey guys, I'm Andrew Robinson of Robinson Pixels. Let's go ahead and jump into Pixsquare, which is the app that I use, beginning with round one. It's a me, Andrew. When you're creating a pixel art style, you should consider what genre you're pulling inspiration from. For me, I'm going with a standard 16-bit platformer look. That style looks very video gamey, and it's typically smaller than beat-em-ups and fighting games. I want something I can create quickly, so a small-ish size is important. Now I'm working on the head first because the size of the head will help me determine the overall size of the sprite. I know I want to make sure the face is large enough to have expressions. Since I'm making a comic, facial expressions are vital. Now even the body was harder to draw than I'd expected. I'm a pretty thin dude, but with pixel art, literally one pixel can make the difference between pretty thin and scrawny. Now as for the shirt, it's actually based on an old Skull and Crossbones shirt I designed back in high school, based on my comic character Gridman. I don't have the shirt anymore, unfortunately, but here's a mock-up I drew of myself back in 2005. I'm wearing a black variant there, of course, and I am totally rad. And since adult me is now trying to catch up on all the time I've missed, I'm bringing the shirt back, right here. But I'm not really liking what I've done so far. It's time for a checkpoint, which is where we check on the art and point out its problems. I don't like it. I look like a little kid with a beard. It's weird. Now I tried making my sprite taller, thinking that was gonna make a difference. And while that does resolve the weird kid man vibe the first one had, it was clear I needed to go back to the drawing board. And I mean that quite literally. For a few years before I started pixeling again, I was drawing pretty much every day. And I felt like I always had a specific style that just kind of came naturally. Cartoony characters, thick black outlines, generally a silly energy. I've always wanted to capture that same essence in my pixel art. Not only in the actual finished products, but in the actual process of drawing itself. I want it to feel loose and fun and carefree while I make it. And that's when I came up with a new technique that I haven't actually seen any other pixel artists at least post about. I will say I was already kind of putting too much pressure on myself to draw myself, so instead let's focus on something new in round two, Mega Man. So here we go. It's a sketch. Now I've talked about using sketches on this channel before. Normally what I'll do is over in Procreate, I'll draw out a sketch and then I'll import that back into a pixel art app and trace over it. The problem with that is that it's hard to estimate the proportions on a full-size sketch into pixel art style. So usually it requires a lot of adjustments to fit into any pixel art. On the flip side, when I'm not doing that and I'm just drawing pixel art directly, I'll usually blob in my figures and carve out the shapes from there. But to do this sketch directly in Pixsquare, what I did was reduced the brush's opacity way down and I sketched it in, overlapping the lines to get it darker where I wanted the actual kind of outline to be. And then I started tracing over that with solid pixels. I'll talk a little bit more about the advantages of sketching like this on the next character. For now, I'll say my main goal with this sprite was speed. I'm not designing or referencing anything. I know what Mega Man looks like. I want to see what my hands will do on their own as I just draw as fast as possible. I'm giving Mega Man a black outline because that's how all my drawings used to work. And I'm trying mostly to limit my shading too. I don't want to over-render it and establish a style that takes too long to draw. And honestly, this felt really good to do. This whole thing took me 20 minutes to draw. That is like lightning speed for pixel art for me. But honestly, his head is still probably too small. If I want to tell any big stories with big emotions, I'm gonna need more room on the character's face. So let's work on that in round three, Mario. I took a lot more time with this sketch. The biggest advantage to doing things this way is you're free to just be sloppy. Pixel art by its nature is a very slow and methodical art form. That makes it easy to accidentally draw characters who look super stiff. But sketching this way, where no individual pixels matter yet, allows you the freedom to let your characters stretch. Now, as I color in Mario, you'll notice that, like in my original drawing of myself, my primary focus is on the face. I deliberately chose a pose where Mario is at a 3/4 angle, but looking at us, the viewers, with a great big smile. If I can pull that off, I should be able to do really anything this way. Now, one of my first struggles was with his mouth. Of course, I picked a character with a mustache. I gotta take that stash into account. Now, thankfully, I thought to reference not just existing Mario pixel art while I was doing this, but promo art as well. Giving him a top row of teeth seems like the perfect compromise. The second issue was trying to get his eyes positioned correctly. I want my characters to have very expressive eyes. And, well, that's tough for a guy with a hat. Now, in my old drawings, I like to give my characters a thicker black outline where I wanted the image to be heavier, usually along the lower sections. So I tried that here too. I've never actually done like a 2-pixel thick outline before, but in this case, I kind of think I like it. It gives it even more of a feeling like this is a drawing. The toughest challenge here though was the damn hands. If I were going smaller with full 8-bit, I could have gotten away with just mitten hands. But here, at this angle, that won't work. And I personally think hands at this size are even harder to draw than they would be on an actual drawing. But I did finally find a size that works, and that's partly because I made the judgment call that my characters are only gonna have 4 fingers total, Looney Tunes style. So now that we've figured out my style's rules, let's apply what we've learned in round 4. To Andrew, to Pixellous. I'm really digging this sketching thing. Let me know in the comments if you think I should do more of a deep dive into pixel sketching, because I think I'm really onto something here. I decided my hands will be going up, but facing away from you, like how in my videos, I kind of reflexively throw them up in the air when I say, "Hey guys, I'm Andrew Robinson of Robinson Pixels." I do like a little... Now again, the face is critical here. And because I'm a real person, we've got less room for interpretation. We gotta make sure I really look like me. So I need glasses, of course, and my beard needs to be there, but it's not thick. And that's especially tough because my mustache is blonde in real life. Like it kind of sucks. It'll have to be darker on the sprite than in reality just so you can see it. Now, of course, my forehead is huge, so it was a bit of a challenge to figure out how to balance a big forehead with a poof of hair without making my sprite too tall. I mean, I'm 6'2", so I should be taller than Mario here, but I don't want to look like a giant. Now, I'm not really digging the blue eyes here. I feel like they crowd my already crowded face. At first, I tried just making the whole set of glasses light blue, like you can't see my pupils at all, and that helps a little. But I think what really sells it is when I add in the whites of my eyes, so my eyes are mostly obscured within the frames, but they're still there. I think that brightness really opens up the face and gives it some breathing room. Now, you do have to be very critical when drawing yourself. I've got some grays coming in, so I did try that out. But I was told my grays aren't quite that noticeable yet, so I will end up taking them out. We'll give it a couple of years, I'll probably spread them back in there. I also tried giving myself my wedding ring, but it doesn't really translate here, so I gave myself a watch instead since my wife bought me this one. You typically wouldn't make a pixel art character who isn't symmetrical, but after a little more poking around on every single pixel, I was done. And that's it. I really do think when you're trying to design stuff and develop a new style, allow yourself multiple attempts. If I had stopped back with that first design, I never would have given my sprites this much personality. It was fun. Of course, I always think it's important to push yourself to learn new techniques. Most recently, I actually learned top-down style pixel art. It was about Shrek for some reason. So if you want to learn how to make pixel art from above, you can check out this video right over here and follow along for more pixel practice. Normally what I'll do is I'll go over... Now, I've talked about using sketches on this channel before. Normally what I'll do is go over... God, I can't say that sentence. So it's just kind of like my eyes are mostly obscured by kind of... So you can't really see my eyes much in there.